Coming up next, NJR News, only on NJR. NJR Network, affiliate stations, WNJR 201 North Jersey and KNJR 201 Portland, and the eventual streaming service NJR Plus are not responsible for the opinions of its broadcasters and pig centers. Screenshots and excerpts are unedited, excluding zoom and annotation, except when explicit and obvious. Headlines are unedited to encourage and facilitate reading the primary sources by searching the full title in quotes. The following is a work of satirical, educational, and informational journalism. Any resemblance to events taking place on the Earth you know and love is purely coincidental. The commentary and criticism relayed on NJR News are purely the opinions of a little hog with 3D glasses who got into the limeade again. The commentary is unscripted, elicited in response to the source material. Whatever legal stuff Tuck's lawyers said to get him out of that lawsuit, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to NJR News. I'm your host, NJ Ranger 201. Now, I'd like to start off by apologizing to our dear viewership for the couple 3-week hiatus. The network was surprised by how poorly this wasn't doing and told me to up the production value because it's an election year. I think we did alright. I was trotting around doing my little cable management. But in an effort to make amends for our spring break, this upcoming trilogy of NJR News specials will be something of a where are they now for the moral, honest geniuses we've covered in the previous 3 installments. We'll check back in on Mr. Borrelli, see what's good with him after he got worked on the Lex Fridman podcast. Spoiler alert, he was the heel on the Jordy show. Then we're going to indulge in a little local Mega City 1 news because as if by a dream, the esteemed mayor did maybe one of his zaniest stunts to date and also got aired the fuck out on a well-known local morning show by a well-known local babe and activist. Then finally, we'll get out our surfboards and ride the wave of saying the same shit on a bunch of Roganverse podcasts over a period of weeks and acting like nobody will clock it. By the way, I'm gonna bleep the curses until about the 10-minute mark, at which point there will be both visual and audio cues that for the rest of the video were weapons free.
And now, on with the show.
Previously on NJR News.
I'm a lot more literate than you, Mr. Borrelli.
That's not controversial.
Mr. Bonnell,
Really,
Mr.
you can
Borrelli.
Google
Okay, all right?
The
Because,
editorializing
hey,
support.
laugh. It's hilarious. The story's so funny.
Okay, 2 quick things about me, apropos of the previous clip and in advance of the next one. The first thing, if you guys can't tell by now, I like making my video game references.
Oh, yeah!
I like making my nerd references in general.
You have chosen wisely.
That has its own issues.
But I'll tell you something you're not going to want to hear, and I admit it's I'll call it dickish. Utilitarianism is typically the villain in most movies.
I don't care.
Yeah. So for instance, like Thanos was utilitarian, and Captain America was deontological.
I didn't.
So
see
Thanos.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Peter, it's like the perfect movie.
This is what everyone always says. Whenever they say,
Thanos willing to reduce the suffering by killing, hundreds of trillions versus the, thousands of trillions, which would be living better off. So,
But I'm not.
It's like comic book movies.
I'm not having to kill anybody. I'm just voting and choosing.
I mean, if you vote in favor of somebody who's going to build a concentration camp, you are.
No, one of these people is going to win, Tim.
I'm still gonna make my video game references, my Star Wars references.
It's an older code, sir, but it checks out.
I'll do that shit because I think in comparison, and rather than explaining everything, sometimes the brain can rely on the leverage of little shortcuts like that. Why do I bring this up? Because to frame the second video, Zestiny has now, he took an L on the Lex Fridman podcast. Okay, now he's got to do 2 discrete things here. He's got to boost his ranked debate lord, his matchmaking level back up after getting spanked by Norman Moyne. And he also has to grind XP. I'm seeing this as a kind of Dark Souls, Soulsborne style. So he lost all his crap in whatever little room they shoot the Lex Fridman thing in. And now, because he can't go back and get it, he's got to just fucking grind easy bosses. Okay, who does he go to for that? Jordy. And the other point that I wanted to make, I am not, shockingly, for a hog, I am not a fashion plate. I have zero against it. It's just not me. But when the occasion calls for it, I'll get my little ass dressed up in a suit. Okay? I bring this up because I'm looking back as I clipped that little segment from the last video on the little debate. I'm looking at, and again, it was talked about before. People were complaining, tweeting at Lex, being like, oh, bro, what are you doing? These are like 3 real deal, whatever, lawyers and scholars and a streamer and whatever. I perceive that as that's Lex look at me, I'm like a kind of maverick guy. It's not old and stuffy at the thing, whatever. I think ended up being to his detriment, as a lot of the Rogan riding can be. Anyway, okay, so if that was me in that position, if they had NJ Ranger 201 in that motherfucker, then, okay, me having seen all these tweets before, that they're like, oh, what's this bum doing with real-ass dudes and mental heavyweights? Wouldn't I want to, like, all right, I'm going to show up and show out on these gentlemen and wear a nice suit or, like, whatever, wear a shirt and tie and some shit, like, I don't know, a shirt and a like, what is this man wearing? Like, okay, he's scrolling on the iPad. He's wearing this little, like, what, he's Steve Jobs? Is that what we're going for here? Like, look at it, and again, even Benny Morris is a bigger dude. This guy's wearing, like, he's wearing a shirt, like, okay, it meets. You look at Moeen, and this guy is like whatever. He looks like he could be not Better Call Saul himself, but a real lawyer from Better Call Saul. That Saul looks up to, and then he feels bad, Jimmy rather, looks up to and feels bad because he knows that he's a douchebag lawyer and a little shyster. And this is like a real credit to his profession. Anyway, and then you have Norm. This man's like a Yiddisher man in black. He's at Harris. He's showing up, he's got his suit. And then this man, at one point, I'm looking through these clips, at one point he takes his shit off, and he's like the Man in Black. He's got a vest. He's very cool, old Western, and you know what the big boss, you know what Lex has got on. It's that standard issue. It's that John Wick getup that he's always rocking. So, I don't know. It reminded me of Fetterman, too, because it's like, bro, if you just dress, I am somebody that I am not a wear a tie to work every day dude. In fact, I'm a big sweatpants enjoyer. But like, okay, if you have one of those jobs that calls for it, I was with Fetterman doing this dress code stuff when he theoretically had any other issues. When your only issues now are, I'm going to troll ceasefire protesters. And try to gaslight people, oh, I was never a progressive, as if the internet doesn't exist. Yeah, that to me is like, you think that you're Neo in the Matrix. Oh yeah, I'm moving at normal speed and everything else is in slow motion. But meanwhile, you're Sonny in a toll booth. In Godfather, you're getting, not only are you not dodging all the bullets, you're getting lit up so much, you're going right and left from just the sheer force of how many times you're getting got. Imagine a lion of people, when you tweeted on your own thing, I'm a progressive, I'm a big progressive, here's my silhouette next to Bernie's silhouette. Like, bro, if all you are is, oh, look at me, I'm wearing a hoodie, and you're not supposed to do that in Congress. Me, I am not the style, this is not NJR style section, no. At that point, you lose me, too. And I was the dude who backed you on, I don't give a fuck about San dress code. Once that's your only issue, all right, bro, like, go to fucking work. Put a tie on, okay, big dog? And this is that sentiment is how I feel about Mr. Bunnell in the previous debate.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to announce my new tour for 2024. Beginning in early February and running through June, Tammy and I and an assortment of special guests are going to visit 51 cities in the U.S. You can find out more information about this on my website, jordanbpeterson.com, as well as accessing all relevant ticketing information. I'm going to use the tour to walk through some of the ideas I've been working on in my forthcoming book, out November 2024, We Who Wrestle with God. I'm looking forward to this. I'm thrilled to be able to do it again, and I'll be pleased to see all of you again soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're coming in hot. We literally just started the video. Well, the Jordy Destiny video. And what do we have? We have like an ad read from Jordy in that inimicable, stentorian, one might say, little attitude that he's got. Oh, and you can find where all the relevant ticketing information is. Oh, ho, ho. Like, with this, again, you're grifting, bro. You're selling something. By definition, this is grifting, right? We're selling something in a, hey, let me get every last dime out of this fashion. Okay, that's grifting. Don't, with this fucking attitude, please, Jordy. Come on now.
When you look at the fall of the Soviet Union, or you look at the failure of socialist or communist regimes, I don't know if the issue there was so much redistribution.
That was one of many issues.
I don't think it was an issue at all, actually.
What do you mean redistribution wasn't an issue? What the hell do you think they did to the kulaks?
If you believe climate models, or if you believe that we're heading in a certain direction.
I don't believe any of those presumptions.
People keep saying that, but we just got another one of the hottest years on record.
That's a classic leftist argument.
Why wouldn't Putin, why wouldn't Xi Jinping, why wouldn't anybody else in the world call this out? It was as horrible as it was.
There are plenty of people attempting to call
Nobody
it out.
credible.
You really think that you're in a position to evaluate the scientific credibility of the trials for the vaccines, do you?
So that's just a little sped up version of all the stuff, all the golden nugs that we have to encounter in this meeting of the minds.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today talking to Stephen Bunnell, known professionally and online as
Mr. Borrelli.
Zestiny. He's an American streamer, debater, and political commentator.
By the way, Jordy, you phoning this in, bro? You literally phoning this in? You scrolling like Big D was scrolling on the iPad during the debate, or?
He really came to my attention, I would say, as a consequence of the discussion he had with Ben Shapiro and Lex Fridman, and I decided to talk to him, not least because it's not that easy to bring people who are identified, at least to some degree, with the political beliefs on the left into a studio where I can actually have a conversation with them.
Notice how Jordy has to kind of weasel word around when he ascribes a political position to Destiny, which sure, he's to the left of Jordy, he's to the left of Genghis Khan, but even this guy who needs him to be a lefty for the second point that he's going to make, even he has to dick around the, certain beliefs that can be ascribed to the left, or however the hell he farts it out there. So there's that. There's already the susness of that. It particularly reads as sus because it's about to be used as proof for Jordy's recycled Dennis Prager bit. In the words of Dennis Prager, oh, they ache to debate us. Oh, they won't debate us. When there are a lot of instances of actual leftists being down to debate conservatives.
Through the magic of the internet, it is possible for me to respond to some things that were said by a Canadian psychologist by the name of Jordan Peterson, who teaches at the University of Toronto. I'm not going to be talking about the psychology he teaches or that he preaches, because that's not my area of expertise, just as it's clear that Marxism is not his. However, he has made statements about Marxism, despite not knowing very much about it, as is evident from what he says. These have included daring Marxists to debate with him, just for the record, anytime, anywhere, as long as we can work out the details. no problem at this end.
And the conservatives pulling I gotta go, my mother's calling me type deal.
Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Cedar. What a fucking nightmare.
So yeah, that we could qualify as useful idiot, right? That he is Destiny is playing the role of the rodeo clown to get bulled on by the marketplace of ideas, by Jordy in the marketplace of ideas. So great job. We're really moving the needle here. We're not at all facilitating the arguments that the opposition is trying to do and always does. Okay, Jordy, so what's good? What are we going to be talking about today?
Well, the differences between the left and the right, and the dangers of political ideology per se, and the use of power as opposed to invitation, and all sorts of other often heated and contentious issues. And so
what, Jordy? You're stealing my bits after you were stealing that Dennis Prager bit? It's my thing to be, euphemistic, let's say, and a little bit dry about how I present shit. No, not you. You're supposed to be like the voice of God saying shit. No cutting up like this. Hey, Destiny, how did your come up happen as a political streamer?
Basically where my early political popularity came from. I think from like 2016 to 2018 was debating right-wing people.
In my opinion, what he's referencing here is the reason why there is any amount of residual goodwill between him and the left that he spends a shit ton of his time now bashing, is because, okay, Destiny, when your little edgy ass gets into a debate with a Nazi or a racist moron, like, all right, bro, there's the bar. It would be really bad if I, as a lefty guy, was like, oh, you know what? This Nazi, he's kind of spitting. He's kind of making good points. So I think that a lot of it comes from a wrestling-style knowledge of the matchup and the kayfabe that comes with that. That, okay, I am always going to be the face, the baby face, when I am going up against a Nick Fuentes. There's like 10 minutes of Jordy. Again, I appreciate it on some level. He's thoughtfully trying to... this man's not a gamer. Okay, he is trying to go out of his way to, like, ask questions that are trying to at least attempt to relate. Like, ask him about what his specific interest is, especially because gaming is how he started out. Again, we give credit where credit's due. That's a good attempt, but, like, it's clear that this man's not a gamer. He eventually goes through a kind of description of what was, like, he started off, he grew up conservative, Christian conservative, and then became more libertarian style conservative, and then, like, and what led him to become this self-styled omni-liberal. And his answer to me, maybe I'm reading into this too much, but his answer to me was like a little snow globe of what he is about in general, which is a combination of, like, contrarianism and I wouldn't say wave riding, but to a certain extent a mercenary outlook, which is a hallmark, it's not exclusive to, but is a hallmark of debate lords. The priding oneself on the ability to argue either side, the capacity to argue either side of an issue, which then, as a happy accident of that, enables one to offer whatever. Maybe I'm going to give a hot take today. Maybe I'm not. It becomes a vicious cycle.
I guess my core beliefs have never really changed, but I think the way that those become applied kind of change.
Okay, so what you just heard was a really have your cake and eat it too response. in which Zestiny wanted to have that a macho man, oh yeah, I've always been right. But he is smart enough to know that there's zero chance that, since you were a kid, you're talking with Jordy about, you're talking about your beliefs since then. Since you're a kid, you've always been right on everything and nothing has changed about that. So it has to be, oh yeah, no, my beliefs have been the same. It's just about the implementation, which, all right, bro, whatever makes you sleep at night, but it sounds like a backwards rationalization for just debating whatever side you feel like, whatever side they want you to represent.
If we think, I'm curious, let's say that we think we can accurately predict the climate and the economic impact, and we think that the climate impact would be far worse if we don't account for that, both in terms of human conditions and...
I don't believe any of those presumptions. I think
but then if you
faulty.
don't, but I mean, like, obviously, if I agreed with that factual analysis, I would probably agree with you on the prescription here too, right?
Okay, they're talking climate change, an issue where there's little daylight, or at least comparatively little daylight between me and Mr. Bonnell. And even so, we see how pedantic this motherfucker can be. But if I told you that we're about to see a level of pedantry that perhaps was never even thought possible, get ready.
If I thought that like none of the climate models were accurate or couldn't accurately predict anything, then I'd also say why make...
Well, they're not sufficiently accurate. That's the first thing. And because they have a margin of error, and it's a large margin of error. They don't even model cloud coverage well. That's a big problem. They don't have the resolution. They don't have nearly the resolution to produce the accuracy that's claimed by the climate apocalypse mongers.
People keep saying that, but we just got another one of the hottest years on record. How many times are we going to have another hottest year on record? How many times are we going to have an increase of carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere before we're finally like, okay.
I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because it depends. The scientific answer to that question depends precisely on the time frame over which you evaluate the climate fluctuation. And that's actually an intractable scientific problem.
Now you see Jordy doing one of his classic bits, which is, oh, climate is synonymous with everything.
Hard to sort out. The climate change one is a weird one. So
that's because there's no such thing as climate, right? Climate and everything are the same word.
It's sophistry. It's argument for argument's sake. It's hanging on loopholes and technical truths, and a hell of a lot of being purposefully obtuse, which his debate sparring partner has his fair share of experience with. But for Jordy to repeat this over and over when he is in the, indirect employ of people who directly fund the Daily Wire, oil billionaires, oil and natural gas. So everybody's on the up and up here. We love to see it. As we continue striving to keep it high and tight and fair and balanced, we are going to listen to Jordy make some points about the wasted opportunity that is not implementing nuclear energy as a main energy source.
And then one more thing. There's one more weird thing underneath all of this.
Okay.
Well, let's say if carbon dioxide was actually your bugbear and it was genuine. Well, then why wouldn't the Greens, for example, in Africa, the progressives, be agitating to expand the use of nuclear energy? Especially because Germany has to import it anyways, especially because France has demonstrated that it's possible. We could drive down the cost of energy with low-cost nuclear, and there'd be no carbon production. And then the poor people would have something to eat because they'd have enough energy. And that isn't what's happening. And that's one of the things that makes me extremely skeptical of the entire narrative. It's like two things. The left will sacrifice the poor to save the planet. And the left will deindustrialize even at the nuclear level, despite the fact that it devastates the poor.
Okay, we're going to be charitable and we're going to focus on the legit part of what Jordy said. Nuclear is a better option, cleaner option, compared to traditional fossil fuels. But him placing the blame on green and progressive politicians in Africa seems like a kind of canard when the bigger example of anti-nuclear green politics and leftist politics would be Europe, where except for France, they are weirdly anti-nuclear, and Germany, for all the hype of, wow, Angela Merkel, what a great leader. She's not boys with Putin like Donald is. Yeah, okay, except for she signed off on a giant pipeline of gas that goes straight from Russia, or I should say, went straight from Russia to Germany before it was blown up in an attack that we know was Russia, but yet all of the three countries' investigations into the Nord Stream 2 bombing ended up inconclusive. So that's weird. Yeah, it would definitely make sense for Russia to blow up the money-making pipeline that they have to Germany. In any case, Jordy's right about about nuclear, but where he's wrong, I wonder why they wouldn't be lining up. Yeah, why aren't they spending more time in the Congolese parliament trying to get a nuclear power plant together? Maybe because there are bigger issues, and also the expense to build and maintain a nuclear power plant it kind of gets put into the unfeasible range by the already dire economic circumstances in a lot of African countries, as opposed to a lot of European countries that do have the scratch. They could build a nuclear power plant, but nah, they're just not gonna because, nuclear is scary.
And I can't understand. You can help me. That's why you're here today talking to me. I can't understand how the left can support this.
Just one quick thing. Let's say that everything you've said is true. What do you think is the plan then? What is the goal? What is the drive? Like, why push obviously horrible ideas for the planet and the poor?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Well, because you're positing it, right? So what do you think is the...
Come on, Mr. Borrelli. He's trying to be a homie, right? Don't be a dick, right? Please.
Driver goal.
Well, I listen to what people say. Here's the most terrible thing they say. There are too many people on the planet. Okay, so who says that? I've heard people say that for 30 years. Perfectly ordinary, compassionate people. Well, there's too many people on the planet. And I think, well, for me, that's like hearing Satan himself take possession of their spine and move their mouth. It's like, okay, who are these excess people that you're so concerned about? And exactly who has to go? And when? And why? And how? And who's going to make that decision? And even if you're not consciously aiming at that, you are the one who uttered the words. You're the ones who muttered the phrase. What makes you think that the thing that possessed you to make you utter that words isn't aiming at exactly what you just declared?
Again, trying to be charitable. Let's take the nug of a right thing that Jordy just said, which is that, yeah, there is a weird eco-fascist strain in some supposed environmentalism that basically boils down to the, hey man, you ever think that like the humans are the real disease on the planet and that global warming is just the earth trying to fix everything? Okay, that's dumb. That's dumb and gross. I don't like that in the same way that Jordy has that revulsion to it. But like, okay, saying that the earth is overpopulated does not implicitly have the agenda, oh yeah, and we're going to do something about it. No, it's saying that with the systems that we have in place, agriculture, construction, energy, those things, that if we continue to, as we will, keep fucking and making babies, the increase in population will not be sustainable within the bounds of the systems that we already use. Let's not overdo that. I get that there are some people that have that misanthropic kind of deal, that poison ivy attitude. But like, All right, Jordy. Okay, so in the context of trying to respond to Jordy's, why doesn't the left like nuclear? Destiny uses this as an opportunity to expound on his kind of political outlook and that he's quirky, he's not like other girls. And so he, as a free thinker, he will choose certain issues from the left and the right. Whatever. That in and of itself is cool. Once you hear which issues he is picking and choosing from, it kind of devolves.
When I'm trying to evaluate a situation, I like to think that I have I've got some insulation from the effects of what liberals think or what conservatives think, is because on my platform, I don't necessarily have an allegiance to a particular political ideology. Like right now, I'm like center left to progressive, but I break really hard from progressive on certain issues. I think Kyle Rittenhouse is in the right. I think basically everything you guys are doing with indigenous people is insane, including the complete mass grave hoax. I think that I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I have beliefs where I can break from my side, pretty hardcore because I am not like allegiant to a certain political ideology.
Okay, trying to do this a little bit more rapid fire because we've been dragging a little bit of ass trying to get through this. Jordy goes on again about how he doesn't understand why countries like Germany decommission nuclear power plants, and apparently California is trying to do the same. Look, Jordy, I will sit with you all day and we will shit on the moron libs, NIMBY-style libs from California or from Germany or from wherever the hell that you like. But then when he goes on, which we're not going to watch, when he goes on to start pontificating about how, might as well not even do renewable energy because it might be renewable at the energy level, but not at the raw materials level. Okay, so we should never try to do anything. We should never try to improve anything. And Mr. Borrelli points out that with extremely limited investment in renewable resources, we've seen the price of solar drop massively, the installation price and upkeep, massively to the point that now it's competitive with fossil fuels.
But what I don't understand, for example, is why the Germans shut down their nuclear power plants and the Californians are thinking and doing the same thing when they have to import power from France anyways. Like it's complete.
Or burn coal, which is a million times worse.
Not just coal, lignite.
Yeah.
The following is one of the sillier examples of this kind of nihilistic attitude. Damned if you do anything, if you will. Little tude that Jordy's got, in which he correctly points out that due to the variability of energy output from, say, wind or solar, we need a backup fossil fuel grid, like the one that we already have. So, the fuck are we doing, Jordy?
You have to have a backup system, and the backup system has to be reliable without variability. And that means if you have a renewable grid, you have to have a parallel fossil fuel or coal grid to back it up when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow, which is unfortunately very, very frequently.
So, Jordy, what's the impetus for all this?
What's the impetus behind all this? Because the cover story is, we care about carbon dioxide.
We care about carbon dioxide. Okay, so with that, we have now judged that Jordy is officially beyond parody. He is literally stealing my impression of him and doing it unironically. Let's fast forward a little bit to the more juicy parts, huh?
I don't think you can compare like Hitler to people that are worried about climate change. The worry that I have here is...
There he is. There's that big brain Jordy that I know and love. There's that Jordy who compares climate protesters to Hitler. My man. Jordy, you got any more spicy takes on post-Weimar Germany for us, or...?
Well, I also think it's an open question still to what degree Hitler's policies were right-wing versus left-wing.
One of history's classic brain busters. Just like, what the fuck did the Antikythera machine, what was it used for? Stonehenge, Where the fuck did Amelia Earhart's plane end up? Were the Nazis right wing or left wing? These are all equal mysteries that we have no way of knowing. So Jordy hits the classic 13-year-old alt-righty then online kid. Oh, well, you know, they were National Socialists, right?
And no one's done the analysis properly yet to determine that.
Well, what do we
because
consider?
It was a National Socialist movement for a reason. And the socialist part of it wasn't accidental.
Okay, Jordy. So you recognize then that North Korea is a democratic people's republic, right? Surely you have no problem with that, right, big dog? So Zestiny kind of breaks down why it's pretty obvious that the Third Reich was not a socialist deal. The lack of worker ownership, the lack of redistribution other than, this shop that used to be run by Jews, well, won't see them no more, so now a nice Deutsches family can run the shop. That's the only kind of redistribution that Hitler was interested in, to which Jordy immediately folds and is like, oh, all right. But then, wait for the twist.
Well, but there was no, cooperatively formed businesses that were owned by all of the people for the people and distributed to the people. And I don't think redistribution was high on Hitler's list of things to do for...
That's true. It was a strange mix of totalitarian policy.
I don't think it was...
Okay, so you saw the cope under minimal pushback. Now get ready for the twist.
Well, one of the things I would have done if I would have been able to hang on to my professorship at the University of Toronto would have been to extract out a random sample of Nazi policies and strip them of markers of their origin and present them to a set of people with conservative or leftist beliefs and see who agreed with them more.
Damn, it's crazy that the libs and the woke scolds prevented Jordy from doing the serious work of screw history, screw all the communists and various leftists who died in the camps. Just by virtue of being leftist, not ones who were LGBTQ or Jewish on top of that, or Roma, or any of the other ethnic groups, Slavs. Screw that. Nah, we should just ask random righty and lefty guys, hey, you fuck with this stuff? And then we'll figure out whether the Nazis were right-wing or not. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Professor.
And that analysis has never been done as far as I know, so we actually don't know. And we could know if the social scientists would do their bloody job, which they don't, generally speaking.
Generally speaking, Chinese people look Chinese.
That's something we could know. We could probably use the AI systems we have now, the large language models, to determine to what degree left and right beliefs intermingled in the rise of National Socialism. So that's all technically possible. So, and it hasn't been done, so it's a matter of opinion.
Sure.
So,
I don't necessarily disagree. That's something you could do.
Very good. We get a little pedantic gobbledygook. We get a little AI plug as well that we can do everything with the marvel of artificial intelligence. And to that very coherent and normal pitch, what a very spineful and not at all bitch boy. Oh yeah, no, I can see the logic in that. You might do that. Like, bro, you really love the Mun so much that you don't want to piss off Jordy when he says something just fucking ridiculous? The fuck is wrong with you? All right, once I start hearing we need to do a fact-finding mission to figure out what was really up with the Nazis, I think that heralds a good time for us to bring this little escapade to a close. Yeah, you guys don't want to hear a stupid, whiny morality argument about the vaccine to a pandemic that was now years ago, right? It's now, next year is about to be 5 years ago. So we are in keeping with our tradition of try to reduce the source material of crap by half, which we have done. But before we depart, I want Jordy to say something nice about me.
He uses his staff, he uses his rod, and he uses power.
Well, that's certainly one way to describe it. I'm definitely going to take it. I appreciate it, Jordy. And I appreciate you, dear audience, for your time and patience. Oh yeah, that was the other thing that happened right before the deadline for this little piece, is that Zestiny had some DMs of his exposed, and it's pretty dicey. He's clearly talking to some sort of English or Angloid style chick, as denoted by the X's all over the place. X, love. And he's certainly plain spoken about his demands, which there's something to be said for that, I guess. We gotta try to keep it impartial here, right? In any event, I want to thank you guys for sticking with me until the end. As always, liking and subscribing is greatly appreciated. It helps a fledgling upstart channel like mine. What I really love, as always, is all the great comments I get from you guys. I love to bullshit around with you guys in the comments. So, leave me a funny comment. What was your favorite zany moment of today's episode? And I will check back with you guys next week when we, as previously stated, we're gonna go see what's good with the mayor of Mega City 1. Once again, my name is NJ Ranger 201. Thank you, and have a good rest of your whatever. Love ya.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
Honey, I'm home. WNJR 201 is brought to you in part by viewers like you. Thank you.